Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the film attorney. My client has a case.
That's my fam. I'll hold them down forever. Us against the world, we can battle whoever. Together, ain't no way we gon' fail. You know I got your back, just like a turtle shell.
It's taco, bitch.
What is it about Michael Bay that brings so much hate from film audiences? His movies are accused of being poorly written, sexist, and devoid of intellectual and emotional depth. In other words, his movies are entertaining. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, I have not seen the Transformers movies. I didn't like the cartoon series, I didn't like the toys, so needless to say, I did not waste time watching the movies. Just from the trailers and numerous clips I've seen of people obsessively hating this film, it actually looks pretty cool. But Michael Bay did make Pearl Harbor, and every director makes a movie that's bad even by their own standards. Take, for instance, Celebrity was a film made by Woody Allen, and it was terrible. AI was a collaboration between Spielberg and Stanley Kubrick. And the Coen brothers made this piece of crap. However, hating Michael Bay is such a popular stance to take that I don't even believe people when they say it anymore. But now that Michael Bay is attached to my childhood superheroes, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it's time to see if the charges hold up. Okay, before we get started, it's important to point out, first of all, that Michael Bay is neither writer or director of this film. However, this does not fully exonerate Michael Bay. As the film's producer, he has a lot of power and decision-making when it comes to the film. In fact, producers are usually the driving force behind why the film was made in the first place. This is often to the dismay of writers and directors and as well as audiences.
Thinking is, as of this moment, a small calico kitten, sir.
What?
The president wants a white one.
Why do I hate it when they start to meddle?
Now, it does kind of feel like this film is missing a second act. But that's because the old films, when they were using those animatronic costumes everyone loves so much, made the scenes a lot more challenging, not to mention expensive. And because of that, there's a lot of scenes of them just sitting around talking. And this made the character development and interactions that much more important. But now, thanks to that CGI everyone hates so much, now you get scenes like the avalanche.
I've always wanted to try this!
Now this movie does have a few lines that I didn't particularly care for.
Come on, give her some air.
What are you?
Well, miss, we're ninjas.
We're mutants. Well, technically we're turtles.
Oh, and we're teenagers. But we can still have adult conversations.
So, you're ninja, mutant, turtle, teenagers.
Well, when you put it like that, it sounds ridiculous.
You didn't need it. Just, there was no need for it. Or this line here, which this one dates back to the cartoon.
Heroes in the half shell.
Always hated that line. They're not Teenage Mutant Ninja Oysters.
Heroes in a half shell, turtle power.
God dang it.
So they're aliens?
No, that's stupid.
Alright, this is in reference to everyone thinking that Michael Bay was going to turn the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles into aliens. But I think that was a big misunderstanding, and what Michael Bay was saying was actually in reference to this.
Something amazing. It's supposed to be from a different planet.
By the way, notice the label.
TGRI.
See, the mutagen came from outer space. It's of a substance from outer space. That's actually good news if people were reading into it right, but people just see Michael Bay and they get hate blind. That means Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fans would eventually, because they're involving outer space, get Dimension X, get Krang, get Wingnut and Screwloose. I always wanted to see Wingnut and Screwloose in a movie. If you involve space, you can get Wingnut and Screwloose in a movie. Now I'll admit at first glance, this was pretty off-putting. I mean, they look like hideous monsters in comparison to the Jim Henson Creature Shop model. Now, the Jim Henson Turtles are impressive for a number of reasons, one of which for in the context of when it was made. 4 talking turtles doing ninjutsu in 1990 was a pretty tall order if you wanted it done right, and to see it done right was very impressive. However, nowadays you ask for 4 talking turtles doing ninjutsu on the moon. Nostalgia plus respect for the craftsmanship involved in making these animatronics overshadows the fact that they really do look like guys in turtle suits. And they're kind of like the ninjas in the early Mortal Kombat games. You know, where they're the same sprites just rendered into a different color and had different projectiles. The CG turtles have visible personalities, beyond just weapon choice and headband color. Most visibly defined in this film is Donatello. And yeah, they look like hideous monsters because, well, they are hideous monsters. I mean, this is closer to what a mutant turtle would actually look like. That's true in the sense that the Ninja Turtles aren't crying between fight scenes like they would if Christopher Nolan wrote this thing.
I don't want to be a turtle. I need to quit ninjutsu for 8 years. Somebody say something clever so I can repeat it later.
And alright, fine. If you're not won over by the CGI look of the turtles, you have to at least admit that they're the same characters. They're the exact same characters from the first movie. They at least nailed that. Plus, in this one, they're more believable teenagers. What teenager in the 1990s is going to do a Casablanca reference?
Well, the lives of 2 people don't amount to a hill of beans in this crazy world, Ilsa. That's why you're getting on that plane. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow.
And yeah, sure, look, people complain about this fart joke right here. Teenagers think that's funny. Right, Florentine?
Farts are always funny. Grow up,
right.
You're not a little kid. Come on, guys, let's get our bandanas and watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
You are a very unhappy man.
Fucking untie me.
I mean, these were pretty corny interpretations of teenagers. And I'm also glad this was never brought back.
Awesome! Righteous! Bossa Nova!
Who did that? In the movies you kind of get the sense that it might just be an inside joke between these 4 characters. But it still just reeks of old people trying to write hip. Another example is this scene. Now this has been my beef all the way through the series. Why is the soundtrack always hip-hop or some lame rock and roll that the Sweat Hogs would jam to? I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Turtle Power, but it's all nostalgia. Shouldn't the soundtrack sound a little more like this? They should be whooping butt to Static X, not Miley Cyrus. Oh, my apologies, Justin Bieber. But to actually say that these characters are not represented well in this movie is just not even true. It seems like in the film that we don't really get to know the Turtles and they put more emphasis on April. And the Turtles are just kind of a side note, but that's because we already know the Turtles. To go into some deep, introspective character struggle with the Turtles in this movie would just be redundant because it was done in the other 4 films. The 1990 film was mostly about Raphael. Raphael was the catalyst for everything that happened in that movie. Raphael meets April O'Neil, Raphael has anger issues, Raphael meets Casey Jones, he's the one who almost gets killed, and the atmosphere is dark and moody and brooding, as if it's seen through the eyes of the main character, Raphael. The second film is Donatello's movie. For starters, it's a lighter tone. This was a studio mandate, but once again, the movie matches the nature of Donatello. And the plot does as well. In Secret of the Ooze, Shredder uses the mutagen to create Toka and Razor, whom they cannot best physically. So, they turn to science, which as we all know is Donatello's thing. So they create an anti-mutagen to take down Tokka and Razor. Donatello in this film is also the one that gets the talk with Splinter because he's having a personal crisis. Granted, it's not as big as Raphael's, but it's there.
I always thought there'd be something that... I thought we'd find out we were special.
Also, if you notice, Shredder's suit in this one is purple. In the first film, he wore a red suit. And there's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. Yeah, I'm sorry, I have to bring this one up. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 is the one where April buys a time machine at a flea market, and they end up in feudal Japan. And it's pretty silly, right? Well, the whole movie is completely silly. In fact, it's painfully silly.
Oh, yes, very clever. Miss me, yeah.
Now, I haven't seen this movie since Clinton was president. But, if I remember right, Michelangelo gets lost, Michelangelo has to be rescued, Michelangelo has a love interest, and what color is that Roman numeral under the title? And then there's the animated film, TMNT, that was made in 2007. And this is a movie about leadership. The villain is a general trying to resurrect an army. He feels he is let down. Leonardo goes to Brazil to learn leadership skills. I don't know exactly how that works. And he finally has that blowout fight with Raph. And while TMNT was a lot of fun, it still had a very serious and earnest delivery. The most serious since the first one, just not as gloomy. And now, of course, we are at the reboot. Now, the reboot is burdened with the redundant task of telling the origin story again. So this time, we're going to take the ride through April's eyes. And why not? April's the main character anyway. I mean, the story doesn't start 15 years ago when they get mutated. It starts when they meet April O'Neil. And let's be honest, this character has never really been done right cinematically. Alright, now, let's look at the past Aprils real quick. Starting with Judith Hogue, who's still my favorite April in terms of performance. But she was given a lot more to perform with, script-wise. And her relationship with the Turtles in this movie is almost like a surrogate mother figure. She's definitely not an object of lust for a teenage boy, even if he is a turtle. And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't kick this gal out of bed then or now. But this, it ain't that. Now, Paige Turco is a little closer to the cartoon April in the sense that she looks a little more like the attractive young reporter that a teenage boy could fawn over. But even still, she doesn't really invoke the April O'Neil character. Now we get to Megan Fox. Now, Megan Fox was not my first choice for April. I would have much preferred a Amanda Seyfried or Zoe Deschanel. Megan Fox ain't the worst choice either. She fits the model of April O'Neil, give or take a cup size and some hair length. Fox plays April as spirited, determined, and brave, good-natured, and also, well...
dumb. A person lacking mental power.
Here, you are now telling me that there are 4 6-foot talking turtles walking around New York City and no one has seen them but you?
That's what I'm telling you.
Idiot. An adult mentally inferior to a child of 3.
Are you okay?
Let's just go get some help and take the mutagen with you. Just go! Go!
Stupid. A person below normal intelligence.
This reporter's gonna look around.
Don't wander too far.
Gee, guys, this is really boring. I wish something would happen.
If they each had half a brain, they'd still only have half a brain.
I'm sorry, what?
Do karate.
Okay, get out.
She's definitely April. This film does take a few lazy routes in storytelling. Linking all the characters' origins together is a pretty big cheat, and it does come off like they're just trying to get the story out of the way so they can slide down this hill for 20 minutes. And this movie doesn't have anything like the campfire scene from the original. But those animatronic suits, like I said, have a lot of limitations, which is why the first 3 films are mostly just the turtles standing around talking. The fights pretty much boil down to a series of kicks and punches, most of which don't even visibly connect. 2015 Ninja Turtles focuses on giving fans something they were cinematically deprived of. Action. Which admittedly eclipses the story a little, but it's a redundant story. So they don't waste time treating the audience like they don't know who the characters are. As a Ninja Turtles fan, I was more than satisfied with it. Do I love it as much as the 1990 film? No. But I wasn't asking to. All I wanted was to see a story I love be treated with the same love and respect as it's passed on cinematically to the next generation. And I was more than satisfied with what I saw. And this film does that. With a lot of throwbacks to the first film and playful references to things Turtle fans really should be ashamed of.
We gotta finish our hip-hop Christmas album, bro. You're the hype man.
But most of all, giving us the movies we really wanted to see as kids. I mean, we didn't want to see some depressing, moody film about four brothers coping with the loss of their father. We wanted to see this.
Dude, bringing back the mohawk. Good for you.
It's a dream come true, just not as sweet because we're all in our 30s. I'm the film attorney, and for now, the defense rests.
Cowabunga.